The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to our webinar, Passing CTIA Battery Certification. Thank you for joining us. This webinar is being given by MET Laboratories. MET is the leader in testing of electrical and electronic equipment for environmental hardiness, product safety, and electromagnetic compatibility. MET operates world-class labs in Baltimore, Maryland, Santa Clara and Union City, California, Austin, Texas, and also runs operations in China, Taiwan, and Korea. This webinar will run 30 to 40 minutes with an additional 15 minutes for questions and answers. Due to the number of registrants, all attendees will have their phones muted. If you have a question, please type it in the questions area of your GoToWebinar control panel. We will attempt to answer all questions at the end. Just a quick note on some other upcoming events. We're hosting our annual Global Product Compliance Seminar in Crab Feast on September 17th, and also a lightning testing webinar on September 22nd. You can go online to metlabs.com for more information and to register. Today's webinar is being presented by Sam CTIA. Sam is MET's Battery Lab Program Manager. At this point, I'm going to hand over the presentation to Sam.
Thank you for joining us for this webinar. And thank you, Sarah, for the introduction. During this webinar, I would give a quick background of the CTIA program, an overview of the test standards, the certification process, and also provide some of MetLab's capabilities. The CTIA battery certification program verifies conformance of applicable products to the IEEE rechargeable battery standards for cell phones and also for mobile, multi-cell mobile computing devices. The program consists of battery cell manufacturing site authorization, which is based on the manufacturer's site audit to go over the manufacturing processes and their quality system. There is also the battery cell product recognition, and then the battery pack product recognition as well. And then there is also other requirements for accessories such as the adapter for the phone, for the cellular phone, which also needs some certification or recognition, and also an overall system certification. Now, all this recognition and certification are based on product design analysis, evaluation, testing, and also some vendor declaration. The main standards that are used for this certification program, as mentioned in the previous slide, are the IEEE 1725, which covers rechargeable batteries for cellular phones, and the IEEE 1625, which covers rechargeable batteries for multi-cell mobile computing devices. Now, the standards are sectioned into different categories based on the product level certification. As I mentioned before, there are pack level recognition, there is cell level recognition, and there are some other system level or subsystem level recognition. So for the first part of the standard, there is a system integration consideration, which is based on design analysis of the cell, the pack, the host device, and power adapters, as well as the overall system design analysis. Now, some of these evaluations include the failure mode and effect analysis, as well as evaluating and ensure that the pack and the cell meets all the safety requirements. And also there are some requirements for the AC adapters, which has to meet various safety standards for the product designated country. And this is just to mention a few of the requirements in this section. For each of these sections, there are requirements which can range from 4 to about 53 other requirements. And some of these requirements are based on either testing, evaluation, review, and also some manufacturer or vendor declaration. The second section of the standards which I'll go over is the cell consideration. Basically, this covers the design, manufacturing, and testing of the cells to minimize any underlying problems and increase reliability. And in this section, some of the requirements or testing that are covered are, for example, separator materials, stability, shutdown performance, which has to meet a certain requirement to ensure that the cells will shut down at a specific temperature, or when the cell attains a certain temperature, a shutdown process will occur. That's just an example. And also there's a strength and physical integrity. There's also an evaluation of the vent mechanism. And also the cell will have to meet the UL 1642 projectile requirement. And all these requirements are also either based on review, testing, evaluation, or the vendor or manufacturer's declaration. There is also a pack consideration, which also review the design analysis, the manufacturing, and the testing of the cell to ensure reliability, reliable performance over the product life for the mobile phone or mobile computing device. And now, with this at the pack level, you want to ensure that there is some level of protection, either for either current or temperature. There's also an incidental short circuit requirement. There's also some ESD requirements and drop tests, just to mention a few. And like I mentioned before, there are over somewhere between 4 to 53 requirements in each of these sections. So it's a pretty lengthy evaluation. And some are, like I said, based on vendor or manufacturer's declaration. There is also a host device consideration, which, depending on your level of recognition for the CTIA certification program, may require review or testing to certain sections of the standard. So if you are a host device manufacturer, then this section will be applicable to you. And this involves the design analysis and the manufacturing and testing of the host device for use with the rechargeable batteries. So for these sections, for most part, the host device and the battery cell manufacturer will be working hand in hand to ensure that the host device meets the requirement in this section. And some of the requirements in this section include the input voltage and current that will be applied to the host, the charging system, which is normally located in the host device, the electrical and mechanical connection between the host and the battery, and some ESD testing, just to mention a few. Then there is also the adapter consideration, which evaluates the power adapters that provide energy to the battery, which provides energy for battery charging, but not directly to the charging of the battery. And this doesn't include the charging circuitry, which is located in the host device itself. And some of these requirements include the maximum and minimum output voltage from these adapters, the minimum output current, just to ensure we have enough current to charge the host device adequately. There's also a connector design requirement and some ESD testing as well. Then we also have a total system reliability considerations, which evaluate the required and recommended information to be communicated to the end user. And this includes like the marking of the product, and also some user alerts to ensure that the end user is aware and of any issues that may arise with using the device, and also some user interaction responsibilities. And some of these are also requirements that are normally located in the manual, in the user manual. The last considerations in the standard will be the system security considerations, which addresses the procedures to validate the compatibility of the batteries with other subsystems for use with a specific system. So you want to make sure that the battery that is being used in the host device are compatible, or the system adapter is also compatible with the host device. And some of the requirements or evaluations include the battery and the host authentication, and also authentication of other accessories such as the adapters or any other accessories that may come with a host device at the system level. Now, my next slide is going to cover the actual battery certification process, which is a very lengthy one, but I'll try and squeeze everything on one slide here. The first process is actually one that is not included here. It's for the vendor to request for a CTIA database account. So first, the vendor will have to request through the CTIA certification website for an account. So CTIA will then issue the vendor with specific account number and login information. So once the vendor is ready to certify a battery or any other subsystem, as I've mentioned before, the vendor will submit a recognition request via the CTIA online certification database. Now, the vendor must ensure that the right request is submitted. So, for example, if you're trying to gain recognition for a cell, you want to make sure your recognition or your request addresses a specific standard, which will be the IEEE 1725 for cell recognition, for example. If you want to recognize or certify an adapter, you want to ensure that your request clearly states that in your request. So once you have identified which recognition or level of certification you require. You also have to select a CTIA authorized test lab, which is normally called a CAR, and request a start date. And then you also have to sign a declaration of compliance and upload that as well, because some of these requirements are based on vendor declaration. So once all this is completed, the CTIA will invoice the vendor for their fees. So CTIA has a specific fee for certifying a product and listing it in their database. So once that has been completed, and the CAR or the CTIA, the selected CTIA authorized test lab is notified, the CTIA test lab will then accept the recognition request or reject it. Now, if the CAR does reject for some reason, then you will have to go in and select another test lab. But if the CAR selects, the selected CAR accepts the recognition request, the CAR will work with the vendor throughout the evaluation process. If there are any failures, it's still between the vendor and the CAR to address all those failures and make sure all issues or failures are addressed. Now, once the evaluation is completed, the CAR will then upload the evaluation report and data to the database, and also submit a completion notice to the to the vendor to be able to upload the evaluation report. From that point on, if there are no issues, then you can consider the battery or any subsystem or system as CTIA certified. Now, I'll now go over some of other MET capabilities. Here at MET, we also have other capabilities for battery testing, which include, which serves the telecommunication industry. So, for example, we have the GR1361, which focuses on lithium-ion battery systems for the telecommunication industry. The GR3168 for nickel-based battery systems. The GR4228 for valve-regulated lead-acid batteries, and also we do evaluate lead-acid batteries for the Verizon TPR 9802. We also perform household and commercial battery testing, and we've listed just a few of the standards that we evaluate products to. The UL 1642, 2054, IEEE standard, 62133, DOT standard for transportation, and we also do some IEC testing as well as some military standards as well, like the MIL standard 810. We also perform other specialized testing such as life cycling, salt fog, and other customer-specific testing, and acceleration testing for batteries as well. At this point, I'll be taking any questions that you may have.
So as Sam said, that concludes the presentation portion of our webinar. Tomorrow, an archived copy of this webinar will be available on metlabs.com, and we'll send a follow-up link. via email. Now we answer questions. If you have any questions, please type it in the questions area of your control panel. For questions we can easily address now, we will read the question aloud and then give the answer.
Okay, I do have a first question here, which is related to the host and battery authentication. And the question is that required for embedded battery pack? And the answer to that is no. For embedded battery pack, host and battery authentication is not required. I have another question which says, can we combine CTIA and safety certification in one test program? And the answer to that is yes, we can definitely combine CTIA and the safety certification into one program. I have another question that says, are you guys going to be at the CTIA Super Mobility? And the answer to that is yes, we will be present. I have another question which says, is CTIA certification required by anyone or just expected by some buyers? Well, the CTIA program is voluntary. It's not mandatory, but it's required by most of the cellular phone companies, like your AT&T, your Verizon, T-Mobile. Most of the cell phones that are used for those carriers, the batteries are CTIA certified, and so are their host devices and accessories as well. I have another question which are cells in the park required to be compliant with this standard, or just at the park level for park level recognition? And the answer to that is the cells used in any park, even for park recognition, has to be recognized or certified to this standard as well. I have another question which says, are external batteries with self-contained charging circuitry eligible, or can they be CTIA certified? And the answer to that is yes, and that will fall under the hybrid charger/adapter category or recognition. So for that, you would need to select an hybrid recognition request for that.
So if you have any additional unanswered questions, please feel free to contact us via phone or email. Tomorrow we will send a follow-up email that will include a link to the presentation, and that concludes our webinar. Thank you for joining us today.